Hey guys, this is Roger from Roger's Rigs. I would love to tell you my 30-second deer story about this nice chubby doe right here. Last night, sitting in the woods, watching down the hardwoods, I hear some running behind me. There's some more hardwoods and then an opening. And I look up, I think she got kicked out by either another hunter or something, but there's a running deer behind me about 50 yards. And I swung around onto it. I got my crosshairs on, but the thing is leaping and bounding and it's going through the hardwoods and everything. It looked like it was gonna slow down. I'm following as tight as I can, and then it come to that new spot where it likes to recheck on its location to make sure it's not going into anything dangerous, and he stopped real short. I had my crosshairs just caught up with it. As soon as it stopped short, I hit the deer right there, and it went about 50 yards and fell over dead. That's a fun deer story, right? But I've got so many more stories where I have screwed up the shot. And I really want to talk today about how to shoot a deer. I think it's really important. We watch all the videos about people shooting deer, but the time when fathers and grandfathers taught their kids the actual study of how to accurately and cleanly shoot a deer, that's kind of passing. And I want to share what I have learned. I've got so many times where things didn't go well, and I know that feeling when you've missed or wounded a deer and it just hurts in your stomach to know what the results are from that. And I think there's 5 things that I have learned that have helped me to make better shots and to cleanly kill more deer over time. The number one is aim small, miss small. It's just like in the Patriot when Mel Gibson lines up his kids to shoot all the redcoats and they're all nervous and he says, hey, remember, aim small, miss small. What I taught you, aim small, miss small. That's kind of what my father taught me. Move away, dog. What my father taught me is when you see your deer, you pick a hair that you're aiming for, the hair that you're going to hit. That bears everything down, gets your focus on that spot, and you start really working that sight right where you want to hit the deer. Aim small, miss small. And it's more than just that. It's about knowing the actual anatomy of the deer. I kind of do an autopsy every time. I look at how that bullet passed through the deer, where exactly. I don't want to waste this meat. I want to hit right in those rib area there. I want to take the lungs out. I'd rather not even take the heart out. So I've learned the anatomy of the deer, and every time I see a deer picture or a video of a deer, I'm focusing my mind about where exactly would I be aiming on that deer. If it was quartering toward me, I want to pull it a little bit forward. And to be thinking that through all the time helps you to aim small, miss small. If you just shoot at a deer, there is a lot of air around a deer. You think that a deer is a big target. There's a whole bunch of areas you don't want to hit at all on the deer. You certainly don't want to hit it in the good meaty areas. You really want to hit it in an area about 8 or 9 inches around. So think about that. When it's bobbing through the woods, you're trying to shoot like a small ball, really. You're really not trying to shoot the whole deer. You're trying to aim and focus on that small area. So aim small, miss small. Another part of that is to use a rest. I am not proud. I do not want to show off that I'm some sort of a Wyatt Earp. I want to make sure that I kill that deer cleanly, and I will use anything. Most of the deer I shoot, I'm up leaning against a tree, I'm leaning against a stump, I'm down, I'll put my backpack forward and I'll lean it on that. Bring shooting sticks. Using a rest reduces that movement and gets you a better chance for a clean shot. Number 2, practice with your gun. If you leave it in the closet all year and just take it out on opening day, you're just not going to get the results that the deer deserves. It really pays to shoot your gun at different ranges and different conditions to know exactly where your bullet's hitting, what kind of ranges, not only what kind of capacity the gun has, but what capacity you have. If you're not that serious about riflemanship, that's okay. You can still be a good deer hunter, but you've got to know exactly what you should be doing, what ranges and what kind of running deer, whatnot, that you should be shooting at. So if you practice with your gun, there was an old geezer that I knew well who had shot more deer himself quietly than most deer camps could brag about. And I've seen him make some amazing shots. He would do it all the time. I've dragged a lot of deer for that guy. And then I was at his house in the summer, and he was barbecuing in the backyard. Next to the barbecue, he had an air gun, and in the woods, he had some cans hanging on strings. And he'd flip some burgers, and he'd pick up, and he'd hit 3 cans at 3 different lengths with that air gun. It kept him sharp. It got his fingers squeezed right. His eyes are focused. It kept him sharp year round. And I think that's a big part of it. I got an air gun. I'll put a link to it down below. Just a break action. It was a Gamma or something, 1200 PSI. It shoots, it's cheap. You can shoot it in closer to your home kind of an area, and it definitely keeps you in practice. Another big one is practicing is going squirrel hunting. If you can shoot squirrels in the head and all those different conditions that they require, you can definitely shoot a deer. So practice with your gun. Number 3, do not rush the shot. I did that so often when I was young because I would wait for so long to see a deer. I'd finally see just the first part of that deer. It just came to the first opening and I bang! And it never was the best of conditions. It was on the wrong angle or it was in some brush. And then I got into bow hunting and I'm sitting in a tree and I have to let the deer come in to within 30 yards of me. And I realized most of the time, if that's not a really scared deer, you've got a fair amount of time. Let it play out. Don't rush a shot. If you see it and it's coming or it looks like it's going to a better area or if it's going to be more open, let the shot play out. If there's no shot, let that go. Sometimes in 10 minutes, the deer comes right back through in a much better angle. It's really important. If you watch a good pool player, you don't see him just standing up, whacking the cue ball and hoping the thing goes in the 9 pocket. It doesn't work like that. A good pool player takes the time to line up his shot, figure out what the angles are, and take a good, careful shot. And if they're willing to do that kind of work just to hit a ball into a hole, you should certainly, out of respect for the deer alone, put that kind of time and focus into making a good, clean shot on a deer. So don't rush the shot. Number 4 is to stay calm. Easier said than done, right? Like, it's so easy when you got a big honking buck coming in and everything and your heart gets thumping and you get that buck fever thing. And I have a few tips for calming that down. One of them is just straight up more experience. The more deer you shoot, the easier that gets. And the other one I've found is compartmentalizing. It's easy to just get so excited about shooting that deer that all you're thinking about is the deer or is the rack, and so many guys shoot the deer in the horns because that's where their focus is. If you've decided that it's a shooter deer, just take all of your attention, say, okay, this is the deer I want. Now take all your attention and put it right on that aim small, miss small. Once I decide that's a deer, all I'm thinking about is right here. Not whether or not it's going to win the Boone and Crockett prize or anything else. It's just, am I exactly on those crosshairs, on that long shot, exactly where I want it. Number 5. They say you miss all the shots you don't take. Well, you also miss a whole bunch of shots you shouldn't have taken. So I recommend being willing to let a shot pass. That's probably the number one reason. The biggest debacles I've had, I could tell some stories of swimming and carrying on with deer that I should have never taken the shot. Figure out in your mind, what's the probability of this shot? If this is a 20% probability shot, that's an 80% probability this is going to be a debacle. Don't take the shot. When I take young people out for the first time, I usually talk them through this. I say, you want to put your crosshairs on the deer, and you want to be calm enough. I know you're going to be wiggling, but you want to not even think about pulling the trigger until you see that your crosshairs, even the wiggle amongst the crosshairs, is within that 8 or 9 inch pie plate shape. If you've got that, even if your margin of error is reduced to that size, then take the shot, start squeezing on the trigger. If your margin of error is somewhere on and off the deer and you're trying to time it so that you're pulling the trigger when it's lined up with the lungs, get your finger off the trigger. The better thing is to get reset, even let that deer pass and give it a better chance, because what you want is that your crosshairs are definitely going to be in that kill zone before you take that shot, because you're responsible for that shot. You're responsible in safety of what is behind that deer. You're responsible for that deer, for making your buddies go through a 3-day long blood trailing session. So I really think it's worth making a good critical decision. Is this a shot I'm going to take? And if it's not, let it pass. That's not a bad thing. So we all know we got one of these buddies in our hunting group, the Wham Bam Billy Bob guy. You put him down in the one tree stand, you kind of hope, everybody hopes the deer don't go that way, and then you hear bang, 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 and everybody's cringing because everybody's thinking, oh no, what has Wham Bam Billy Bob done? I think part of that is a failure in families and in the challenge that we now have where fathers and grandfathers aren't teaching their sons these techniques. Watching the videos of seeing people shoot big bucks, it's like pornography in the deer world. It doesn't really teach you reality and help you to focus to make good, clean shots. So what I'm trying to do here is tell you some of my top five. If you've got things to add, please put them in the comments down below. What your top 5 things would be to help good, clean shots on deer. And also, please send this around. We all want this to go to Wham Bam Billy Bob, but he'll feel kind of singled out if you only send it to him. So send it to your whole hunting crew. Put it up on any piece of social media and try to add to it. I'll make a how to make a good shot on a deer 2 video once I see all your other comments and everything. Good luck and stay safe in the deer woods, and take care of each other. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.